6 months later, the Ticwatch Pro 3 series are better than ever. Best-in-class health tracking features, combined with a huge Google app ecosystem and LTE connectivity, sounds about right. Hi everybody, nice to meet you. My name is Michael and welcome to the wonderful world of wearable devices in 2021, featuring today's superstar, the Ticwatch Pro 3 LTE edition. And I believe the Ticwatch Pro 3 series have been the most refreshing thing which has ever happened to the WearOS world. And I say the series because the original Ticwatch Pro 3 has been released back in the end of 2020. This here is the LTE version, which is kind of the latest edition. It looks exactly the same as the non-LTE edition. However, there are a few key differences that I would like to discuss in this episode, as well as giving you some feedback about how it performs, because I've been wearing this on rather regular basis for the past weeks, almost close to 3 months. So besides highlighting the key differences, I'll be able to give you some feedback about what has changed on a software level. In early March 2021, this still continues to be the only popular brand that has tried its luck with the new Snapdragon Wear-based platform. On top of that, still maintains very competitive price. The LTE edition costs around $60 or Euro on top of the Bluetooth edition. You can use both smartwatches via Bluetooth, but the LTE can come handy when it comes to being independent and having the ability to make phone calls when your smartphone battery dies, for instance, or to use some services that require mobile data at a higher rate and you happen to be outdoors. The Ticwatch Pro 3 LTE can be as effective as a phone in that sense. But there's a catch, unfortunately. There only are a few countries where LTE is actually supported on the Ticwatch Pro 3. And in order to avoid any dissatisfaction or disappointment, better check with possibly mob voice support, or at least some people online, or your local service provider. I'll give you an example. Here in Bulgaria, in order to make this video happen, I had to use a SIM card which I got delivered from the UK. I've put it in my cell phone, and only if Google Wear OS app detects that your cell phone is connected to a certain network, it unlocks the features that you can set for the eSIM inside the smartwatch. Otherwise, this menu is entirely missing. This is probably the main reason why, if you go to the US version of Mob Voice website, there's no sign of the Ticwatch Pro 3 with LTE yet. I really hope this activation procedure will get a lot easier in the future. In terms of coverage, the signal reception was as good as it is on my smartphone. So, as you may notice from the unboxing, in terms of hardware, this looks exactly like the non-LTE edition, except the ads on the box. But inside, still the same charging cable, still the same amount of papers, maybe a little bit more this time. And the watch, look at it, the same scale, colors, the band, the sensors on the back. Visually, there's zero difference, so nobody would be able to tell the difference. Even if you start scrolling up and down in the menus, it's the same with exception for this icon indicating the coverage state. Now, the hardware specs in a nutshell: the amazing Snapdragon 4100 series inside, which is a huge step up in terms of performance and is accompanied by 1 gig RAM and 8 gigs of storage. There's close to 600 mAh battery, giving up to 3 days endurance in smart mode. Waterproof for swimming, Bluetooth 5, barometer, PPG sensor, GPS, NFC, Wi-Fi, speaker, microphone, it's all there. If you compare directly to Samsung Galaxy Watch series, well, the Ticwatch Pro 3 is better in some areas, but has no blood pressure monitoring though. So there are 3 major hardware features which I believe make the Ticwatch Pro 3 series stand out as compared to other brands. And we're actually going to begin with the first thing. I just wanted to wipe the screen. The first and most obvious part is the display. So you're looking right now at the AMOLED part of the screen, which is so vivid and makes the whole experience with navigating kind of smartphone-like. On the other hand, the Ticwatch Pro 3 series will satisfy the people that do sports regularly and prefer a perfectly well visible smartwatch outdoors. And also, due to the fact the secondary display is based on FSTN technology, it consumes a fraction of the power needed for AMOLED, so it can be always on without really needing much of power. On top of that, Mobvoi offers the so-called Essential mode, which shuts down WearOS and turns the Ticwatch Pro into a very basic fitness tracker, which can count your steps and measure the pulse. I think with future updates they can go even further by enabling sports tracking and then keeping the record and pushing it to the app. This will be a killer mode, but I guess it will take some time to develop such an option. But using the secondary display, even if you forgot your charger, you will have the chance to keep the watch, the pedometer and the HR tracking functions for a much longer period of time, and that's how the promised 45-day standby can be achieved. The second major strength I can see here are the health tracking features. This is the first WearOS device which I can confidently state is great about tracking health, not only heart rate. It's one of the very few devices that can give you continuous oxygen saturation measuring, and we know very well how important this may be these days. It's actually the first WearOS-based smartwatch that I can trust for sleep tracking, and the reason is very simple. Most of WearOS smartwatches can last up to a day, maybe tops day and a half in terms of battery life. This one gives me very often close to 2 days and a half battery endurance, which means it can survive through the night, because if you want to track sleep with regular WearOS smartwatches, you gotta charge them prior to going to bed and then once again during the morning, which is terribly annoying. Generally, the Tic apps are so well developed that I can see them challenging Huawei Watch GT series, even Garmin's premium products. Look at the Tic Sports, so many options to configure, perfect visibility outdoors, and most importantly, you can use the buttons to control the activities. The third major strength, as I see it, is the performance. This new Snapdragon CPU makes WearOS shine and fly. It's the first time I feel like I can confidently recommend a WearOS device to my friends, because I know they will like the performance. There will be almost no lags. There still are such notables sometimes, but has nothing to do with the way WearOS performs on 2000 or 3000 Snapdragon series. Apps installation happens almost immediately. NFC payments, phone calls, messages, flexible ways to respond to people using Google Assistant, calendar, so many ways to turn the watch into a productivity power horse that can be reliable. So yeah, we've seamlessly covered a bunch of the software-related features, and of course we're going to explore more, but if I have to summarize why I prefer so much more the TicWatch over other WearOS-based smartwatches, it's mostly because of the so-called Tic Health ecosystem, like the Tic Pulse, the Tic Sleep, the Tic Oxygen, the Tic Sports, and so on. They actually turn the experience of this WearOS smartwatch into a purely fitness tracking device. Such a pity we don't have them integrated as part of WearOS. Because look, the WearOS smartphone app is quite basic, covers the essentials, lets you change the watch faces, do basic config stuff, but nothing more. To get the full picture, install the Mobvoi companion app, which is continuously being improved and gives you the amount of data that you may be looking for. If you need to verify your sleep cycles or compare data about your heart rate, very interesting to see how your pulse varies in different parts of the day and of course, depending on your activities. And workouts, currently 13 sports, most of which can be measured outdoors with the help of GPS. And since some people have shared concerns about battery endurance while the GPS is on, I have the chance to try it out and it happens to be very energy-saving. Did I have problems? And are there any improvement ideas that I have? Yeah, totally. I don't like the fact that there's no way to disable the backlight, which is activating on the lift to wrist when the FSTN screen is on. You can disable the gesture for always on screen, but not for the FSTN display. The only workaround I was able to find was to put it in theater mode, but it limits the notifications as well. I've had an issue with the Mobvoi app crashing when receiving a call to a OnePlus device, which was fixed by clearing the cache and the data. I've seen online reports by some people that they had issues with their charging cables with the first iteration. Never had that with mine. And I also noticed complaints about sensors failed after getting a shower with the watch. Apparently, there's the excuse that waterproofness is compromised by warm water, and this is not covered by the warranty. Not sure if that really is the case, but I think if a shower damages a smartwatch, it shouldn't be classified as waterproof. Well, on my end, I've been swimming with it in a pool, having a bath with it, showering regularly, and no issues at all for 3 months. So I very much hope we're talking about a small amount of cases. To me, at this point, this is the perfect and by far the best WearOS smartwatch designed ever. Does everything it's supposed to, comes with the full power of WearOS, and brings the platform on a new level thanks to the health and sports measuring implementations. So it doesn't really matter with or without LTE. The Ticwatch Pro 3 series are awesome, and of course the LTE edition giving you a lot more freedom and independence and possibly offloading your smartphone with some of the tasks that you regularly do there. And the good news is that for prolonged usage, it does have good software support and receives regular updates. I guess that's been everything I want to share with you today. If you enjoy watching the Ticwatch Pro 3 and want to get yours, then you can follow any of the links which I've listed in the description below the video for the best deal managed to find. And for any questions, comments, other ideas or complaints, so keep an eye in the comment section below the video. As usual, make sure to respond to all the questions when I have the time to do it. And thank you very much for being with me throughout this episode. If you enjoyed, then please reward us with a like, subscribe to the channel for more cool tech inspections. Time to wish you a fantastic day. I'm Michael and can't wait to see you in the next episode. Bye!